the most tremendous new musical experience you can have.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Slogan, and I'm here bringing y'all this review to this newest Nav album called Good Intentions. Now, this is his follow-up to his album from last year called Bad Habits. And, you can kind of tell by the names there that this is supposed to be seen as a sequel to that. A lot of people hated that project. I didn't get to it until way late. It was not on my reviews for last year. It sucked. I do not like Nav, much like everyone else. He's a decent producer, pretty horrible rapper, just very boring, low energy, doesn't really bring anything new to a track. He's not one of the worst rappers ever, but he's not good. So, he usually has fun with his features and stuff like that, I will say that. And this one had a lot of good features, like a lot of good artists on it. I won't say yet whether they were good or not because I will go through each one of those tracks, but that is one thing that had me halfway excited for this project, but even going in knowing it was probably going to be bad, I went in with an open mind, especially after seeing all those features. So yeah, and that's what I saw from a lot of people, just especially on Twitter, just unironically excited for this album. If for nothing else, at least due to the features. So, what were the pros for this one? The production, like usual, is generally on point. It usually helps you feel the energy of the track, which goes directly into one of my cons. You have to use the production to feel the energy of the track because very often Nav's voice is just boring. He has a generic flow, generic writing, so you're not getting the energy from him. You have to get it from the beat or from the features. Another pro, the big name features that, generally speaking, are fun and enjoyable. So let's go ahead and get into talking about the features, starting with the first one on No Debate, Young Thug. Young Thug actually disappointed me on this one, I'm not going to lie. Like, he's alright, but he really doesn't do anything to bolster up this track. It comes all together into a skip. Like, just the energy's low from both of them, which is very disappointing considering, Thug usually is that guy that comes in there and brings the energy, brings the emphatic flow and his different voices that he uses and all that. He just kind of comes in lazy on this one, so that was it was a skip. It was a skip. We'll just leave it at that. Next comes My Business with Future, and on this one, first I'll talk about Nav. He actually does pretty well fitting over the beat. Again, it's a minimalistic beat. There's not much going on, and he is kind of low energy, but it fits with the track. I'll give him that. It's not his worst rapping performance on the album by any means, but then Future comes in and he brings the energy here, fitting the overall vibe. Again, the vibe being lower energy, but he just, you can feel the song with him. You can feel him fitting perfectly over this track, almost to the point that you wish this was only his song and not Nav's song. Again, not saying that Nav actually ruins this track. He is not bad on this one. So overall, I'm kind of torn on this one. Nav actually being tolerable, and Future having a really good verse. I think this one could be argued as a keeper. It's certainly not a skip. If you're going to listen to this entire project, this one is not a skip if you're saying, you know what, I want to listen to the whole thing of enjoyable tracks. However, is this one that I'm going to add to a playlist? Most likely not. Being totally honest, I don't think there's any that I'm going to add to a playlist. But we'll cross that bridge as we go through the rest of this review. So next comes up Turks. And this one has Gunna and Travis Scott. And again, Nav, I'm just not feeling him. Again, he's not bad, but his energy could be so much better. Especially seeing the other artists that are on this track, Gunna and Travis, who usually, the most enjoyable part of them is the amount of hype that they bring to a track. And that continues here with Gunna riding the beat very perfectly. Again, energy still being low, but he's just vibing with the whole thing, and it's enjoyable to listen to. And that's what I want out of a Gunna verse, him not being one of my favorite artists. As long as I can enjoy his verse, knowing that he's not going to be saying much, knowing that his flow is not going to be anything crazy. As long as he can give me something like what he did with Space Cadet off of Not All Heroes Wear Capes. If he can give me something like that, that's enjoyable. And here, obviously not the same level of production as that. Not exactly the same type of track, but enjoyable from him. And then Travis fits this song very well with the vibe, and his ad libs add a lot to this beat, which again is not doing a whole lot, although it is enjoyable. But his ad libs take it to another level that is very enjoyable. And this one could potentially be a keeper, if nothing else, at least a skip. Not a skip, at the least. Now after that comes Status with Uzi, and on this one the beat builds very well. I was listening to the early beginning of this track and I was like, okay, this could be really good. But then the drop and what it turns into is kind of disappointing. It's not a bad beat by any means. It's just that the build up really stood out, and then the rest of it was like, okay, this is pretty average to, decent. Nav, he really sucks on this one. Like his opening verse is horrible. It has a lot of where he just repeats the same rhyme word over and over to add emphasis, but it's not enjoyable, especially with some of the rhymes that he is coming up with. And I do recommend you looking those up because they're pretty stupid, if nothing else. So you can find some humor in that, but it's not good humor by any means. It's humor as in, I can't believe you're this dumb to actually do this. But anyways, let's see. Uzi actually comes in on this track and is pretty good, saving the end of this song. But again, he's not going to be able to do enough after how bad Nav was. And then also Uzi isn't like that amazing on this track to make this a keeper. Is it a skip? 50-50 on that one. Again, if you're going through listening to the entire project, you're probably not going to skip this one. But again, it's not one that you're going to want to go back to and listen to either. After that comes Codeine with Gunna. And again, Nav, his voice production isn't really that amazing. The auto-tune sounds a bit wavy and unfinished at times. And not in a good way, per se. Gunna, however, fits the vibe very well. The beat not being that amazing, him fitting it is not that incredible, but still, he is an improvement from Nav. This is a song that you can vibe with, I suppose, but overall it being boring, I would say that it probably is a skip. It's just kind of one flow, one pitch, one vibe the whole time, so you can get a little bit of enjoyment out of it the first time you listen to it, but again, I don't see you going back to this one, and this one I could see as a potential skip if you're going through the entire thing a second time. Now next comes Run It Up with Pop Smoke, rest in peace. Nav, again, uses a familiar flow, but over enjoyable, smooth production. It masks the fact that you have heard him do this before. So, that adds a little bit of a new flavor to it. And then Pop Smoke gives us a more laid-back flow rather than his usual drill style, which I have never been a fan of. Again, rest in peace to the man, but I have not liked any of his music up to this point. This song is one of the better ones that I've heard because, again, he goes with more of a laid-back, smooth style. Still don't love his voice or anything like that, but this is one of the more enjoyable things that I have heard from him. I am not in love with this song, but I don't hate it either. I'm more indifferent to it. If you enjoy Pop Smoke, you'll probably really like this one, unless you only like him for that hardcore style, which, more power to you. I don't understand that at all, but go for it. It's definitely not one I'm coming back to, but I could see some people coming back to it if they enjoy Pop Smoke and, the fact that Nav is actually pretty decent on this track. After that is Spend It with another Young Thug verse. And on this one, the beat transitions, the beat transitions for the last song, Run It Up, into this is really enjoyable. It transitions very well. That being said, the beat for this one, I was not in love with it. It was kind of generic, but just the way it transitions from the last song to this one is pretty cool. Good production there, but this song just it does have a higher pitched portion that is kind of a grating experience. Like, it kind of makes you brace for it every time you hear it. It's not really that good on that. Nav, again, boring, generic flow, but Thug provides a lot of energy on his verse this time, a lot better than his first feature, where he breaks out his higher pitched voice to add in some enjoyment. I will say this one's, considering Nav and the beat, this one's definitely a skip. Definitely not a keep, but it is not a horrible track, specifically because Thug gets on there and has fun. After this comes Recap with Don Toliver, and Don is okay. He doesn't really get much of a chance to flex his vocals a lot. He doesn't get a lot to do to stand out, but you know, again, Don Toliver, most things that he does is enjoyable, and this is still enjoyable. Nav tries to fit Don's vibe with some singing and crooning, and you know, it's not good. This is one of the worst tracks on here. Overall, I would say strong skip, definitely not a keeper. And then finally, the last feature, No Ice with Lil Durk. It's boring. Durk is okay. He doesn't really add anything. Nav is boring. This is definitely a skip as well. Which doesn't look too hot for Durk's album that dropped this weekend as well. Again, I already have my review up for that, but no spoilers. But either way, overall on this album, it's not as bad as I feared, although the features do not step up to the level that I would have liked for them to. Nav does bring more energy at times to counteract his lower energy or boring spouts. Again, more energy than what he brought on Bad Habits. The features are 50-50. Some are good, some disappoint, but overall, I thought they were alright. Not really any keepers on this one. A lot of skips, and then a couple where you're like, okay, that's all right. There's enough saving graces on that track to where if I'm listening to the whole thing, that will be one of my favorite tracks. But you know, yeah, nothing really making me come back to this one. Again, the lows are not horribly low, outside of No Ice being a very boring track, Recap, Nav sucking on that, and Don not really getting anything special to go with it. Yeah, that's about all I have for this one, honestly. I'm going with a 4 out of 10. Again, it didn't have anything to drag it so far down to get a horrible rating, although I think it is mid to just below mid, if I have to give it a rating on that scale. Definitely not a good album. Not one that I'm going to say you need to go check out, although I would recommend checking out the song with Future on it. My Business, I thought Future's verse was really good. That's the one thing that I'm recommending to anyone that comes to me saying, should I listen to this album? No, don't listen to the album. Listen to the features. At the very least, listen to the Future track. Other than that, you can skip this entire project. Basically, any song with just Nav on it is not worth listening to. So that's why I only went through the features in the first place. And I felt like that still got the point across, because basically all I was saying was Nav was boring, the feature was okay, or Nav was boring, the feature was bad, and the track was horrible. So that gets my point across basically for this one. Don't check out this album unless you are a Nav fan, which I have not yet to meet one, but hey, more power to you if you are. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, and sub. Hit the bell next to my name for notifications for when I post next time. Share this video so your friends can check it out. I appreciate y'all, and I will hit y'all up next time.